Hello, this is Christian Wiese. Today I wanted to talk about equanimity of mind. Um, Equanimity of mind was nicely summed up by Krishnamurti when he said in a seminar, do you want to know what my secret is? And everybody wanted to know what his secret was. And he said, well, you see, I don't mind what happens. And that's, of course, a nice state to be in, but I think it takes a little work to get there. I saw a video by Teal Swan entitled Double Down or Choose to Change. And it reminded me of some work that I had also done a while back. By that time I was inspired by Sadhguru, who said, whatever you do, go all the way. I think both go in the direction of non-duality, when in a sense you operate on the self, on the ego level, but you just kind of explore it. You're willing to see what the consequences of your actions are. You're willing to see how the dominoes are falling, and accordingly you make your decision. So in non-duality you would argue, if I'm currently conflicted, if I'm sitting on the fence and I say this is good, then I need to understand there's actually also bad embedded in good. Just as, well, this is obviously bad, but I have to understand, well, there's also good embedded in that bad. So everything kind of gets those quotation marks, good or bad. It's just based on, how our mind perceives it, but it may not be actuality. And Teal Swan presented a very nice example of a doubling down decision. She describes a woman who kind of always struggled in her profession. She was always overlooked. And the reason for that was that no matter what outside activity was proposed, she always signed up for it. So she was always on the road, always wanted to sign up for seminars and things like that. And whenever important decisions were made at the firm, she was never around to claim it. So her career suffered, and at one point she just minded. But then when she went a little deeper into her struggle, she kind of realizes she just wants to be outside. She just wants to roam the country. And in a sense, she just kind of then accepted her gypsy soul and said to herself, well, I don't need children. I don't need a partner who is just married to his job in this location. If I find somebody, he has to be a gypsy soul just like me, and we roam the country together. So financially, the decision was bad, but it worked for her because this is her lifestyle. And I think it's a very nice example of doubling down. I also had a fairly positive experience on this level. So my awakening happened at a time when I was professionally active. I also had my own conflicts, and as I experimented, I actually got the best of all worlds. I was able to figure out there are just certain parts of my job that allowed me to foster cooperation rather than competition, and it worked out beautifully. But there were also areas of my work where it was just understood that I needed to be competitive, that I needed to have a loud voice on my own behalf, and that also worked out. So professionally, that was quite positive. And also spiritually, it taught me a lot about, the ego level, about the magic world of cooperation. So it was quite beneficial, and thus I always say to anybody who's in the spiritual community, just try to work on those two levels. If you have conflicts, maybe work with a life coach. Don't force yourself to have serenity, even though deep down inside you actually feel miserable. I think that happens actually quite a lot, to be honest. Work on both levels. But I do believe over time there's actually that transition from what I would call spirituality 1.0, which is all a mind concept. I need to be loving. I need to be serene. To spirituality 2.0, where there's just an appreciation for the moment, the message of the moment. We may be miserable in the moment, but we still get what the gist of the moment is. We step out of our own mind. That is spirituality 2.0, and I do think it happens automatically. So a couple of conflicts. Fall in love with a bad guy. Well, the mind says, thou shalt not hang out with a bad guy. But non-duality says, what is it actually that pulls me into this relationship? Maybe I desire to heal that person, which is not a bad decision. But maybe it's self-abuse. This guy pulls me in because deep down inside I haven't yet found the love within. So conflicts, painful as they are always an opportunity to just dig a little deeper. The example of I can't speak up for myself. Well, on the ego level, we say I suffer at work because others are just louder than me. And of course we can make the rational decision, I want a career, I also want to be heard, so I train myself to be louder. You probably heard about the Greek guy who couldn't shine in a public debate, so he put marbles in his mouth and shouted into the ocean and tried to outscream the waves. So that's one way of becoming more forceful. We can do that. But again, there's also the opportunity to just realize this moment needs expressing. God damn it, I will say something because this moment needs expressing, which is more the spirituality 2.0. It's not about I need in 5 years from now to be the boss. It's about this moment needs expressing. Somebody abused this person and I will be damned if I'm not saying something right now, even though I'm a shy person. You see, this moment, it's about this moment, here and now. Actually, at work, so I tend to be more of a shy person, as you probably know, and at work, I had to do public speaking, I had to do videos and so forth. I did them, now and then. It wasn't really my specialty. But when I did it, I always invested a lot of time. And as a matter of fact, especially with the speaking in front of people I could do because you just feel the energy. But speaking of the camera, in front of the camera was always horrible because I never knew who's really on the other side. So it was very hard for me to generate that connection. And do you know what I did during those days? I said one day, the awakening had already started. So I said to myself, one day I will be speaking about spirituality. And that kept me going. So once again, just falling in love with the moment, knowing what this moment is all about on an ego level, on a higher dimension, and then just showing up. That's spirituality 2.0, and what you will see on that level, the moment speaks for itself. We really don't care either way. So for example, for this recording, I had just multiple interruptions. There was one guy who was mowing the lawn. There was the trash people who came multiple times, and each time I was just so annoyed But each time I also realized, you know what, you haven't quite found the right message. So it's a perfect example of, I don't mind what happens. If somebody comes and interrupts that video, it just means I have to try better once again, and I'm absolutely open to it. All right, I wanted to stop with a little thing that I wrote down. Neither good nor bad, I am what I am, but I live at the heart of it for the I am that I am moment. That's really spirituality 2.0, and I think we all get there. It's a natural evolution. I hope you will all find that out for yourself. All right, thank you very much for listening in. Bye.